Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at my second round at a tournament I just played this past weekend. It was the 2023 Mid Summer Meltdown out in Foley, Alabama at the Grand Creek Nature Preserve. If you have not already seen it, I posted the first round just the day before I'm posting this one, where I played this first round, the course you're seeing here, called the Preserve. And just to kind of reflect on it a little bit, again, this tournament was living up to the name. It was incredibly hot. It was around 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius, and really felt hotter than that just due to the humidity and, you know, all the other stuff going on, just the heat index, you know, all that jazz. I'm not a meteorologist, sorry. And then it was also very windy. But not wind in the great way, because obviously the wind was making it a little bit harder to get distance on a lot of these longer shots, and it was also kind of more hot wind than anything else, so wasn't really providing any type of cool breeze that felt nice or refreshing. It was just hot. And also, again, was coming to this event, not really any expectations. I didn't really put any specific practice in before this tournament. I didn't play any practice rounds at these courses. Hadn't been to these courses since I won the shootout tournament back in November of last year. So it had been 8 or 9 months since I had played here. So there's a couple of little things here and there I just kind of didn't quite have, you know, all the way figured out. A practice round probably would have served me well before this tournament to just kind of hammer things away and make sure I had everything down. But it was all good. I was really just going to get some tournament experience, to have some fun, and I didn't know how many more tournaments I'd get to play this year due to my work schedule with esports stuff and doing stuff with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and so I really wanted to go play this tournament. And so, you know, despite not having the practice, and also despite physically not being 100%, I was in a situation where I'm going through like this 30-day cleanse thing, so I'm getting limited calories, and I'm also like alternating between days of eating and days of fasting, so I just didn't really have my stamina at 100%, which was certainly tough. Didn't really phase me the first round, and the second round, though, it certainly did kind of catch up to me about halfway through the round or so. I was kind of running out of gas. But again, you know, I was staying hydrated. I was staying in the shade. I was, you know, definitely doing everything I could do to get through. And I just wanted to go out there and play because I love this course. I love the people who run tournaments here. Tim Clausen, awesome dude out there in Foley running these events. And I always have a great time out here. So I was kind of just putting everything to the side, putting expectations to the side, knowing I wasn't in the best place physically with you know, fasting and cleanse stuff that I'm going through, as well as just not being totally practiced. I mean, yeah, I've been playing some casual rounds, but nothing, you know, like I normally do to get prepared for tournaments. And if you didn't see the first round already, again, go check it out. But if you didn't, I shot even par at the Preserve, which put me in kind of this multi-way tie for somewhere in the top 5 or top 8 or something like that. But I was only 3 or 4 strokes off the lead. I was on the chase card going into the second round at the Prairie. And so without further ado, I'll stop jibber jabbering over this B-roll and we'll get into the second round. All right, so here we are at the Prairie for round number 2. I started on hole number 10. Kind of a basic hyzer shot, wide right, but I hung this one out too wide and turned it over, and then also got a nasty roll off of a root. And so I had all the distance I needed, but I just didn't fade in enough to give myself a really reasonable circle 1 putt to attack for birdie. And that root roll I randomly got made it even further away from the basket. So got a little unlucky with that. This is kind of a theme, though. Like, the first round just wasn't really giving myself a whole lot of opportunities to score. I was throwing decent shots, but I wasn't throwing good shots or great shots to give myself, you know, reasonable circle 1 putts for birdie. So here's another shot that I hung out a little too wide. In the past on this hole, I've always thrown it too inside and let go early. And so I was really kind of thinking about that on the tee. Wanted to make sure I put it out wide enough. Here, I'm kind of just backing off because the wind is just, again, not being very helpful for disc golf. And it wasn't even a cool breeze to enjoy in the heat either. So it's just a nightmare both ways. And so I kind of just gave that one a floaty bid. Didn't really run that one. I was a little too far away, and the wind was a little iffy. And so I just made sure I got my par on that one. Now here we are on hole 12. Threw this into a headwind, so I threw something pretty overstable. I actually wound up fading out more than I wanted to. I probably should have hung that out wider. It's also a little nose up, so wasn't the best, but was able to sink the putt and grab a birdie. So that put me at 1 under par. And now this hole I'm between discs because I want to go wide right because the basket's this kind of dead center of your screen between the two trees. And I didn't think that the Glow Envy would hyzer enough because I had thrown it in the previous round a couple times and had flown a little too straight on me. So I decided to go zone, which is definitely overstable enough, but I did not put it out wide enough. I put it right in the middle, basically. I needed to hang that out really wide. And so I think ultimately I chose the right disc because, again, I think the Envy may not have faded enough for me, but I just did not take the right route. I just say F because I just blasted my upshot deep of the pin, giving myself a way harder par save putt than I really wanted. But we're able to get it done, so the putter's doing pretty good. Now this hole I'm trying to hyzer through the gap to try to skip left towards the basket. And yeah, just put it way too low. And so I did fight through the corner, so I at least had an open approach to the basket. But again, I'm just not giving myself any chances to score. I'm just throwing like decent shots to slightly mediocre shots and just not really getting in scoring positions, which is annoying. Really let a lot go here. Meanwhile, you know, the leaders are starting to get up near 8 to 10 under par, and I'm still sitting kind of at even. That one I just hung out too wide and too low. Not sure what happened. I guess I missed the upshot on this, but it wasn't a good upshot. I left myself a really deep comeback putt, and I wound up missing it. So I'll take a bogey on that hole. Now this hole, now I'm starting to really cave. And when I'm saying cave, I'm just getting tired. I'm just not really focusing as well. Almost like a brain fog coming through, and I just could not keep my hands dry. It was just so hot, and I was using chalk bags and stuff like that, but it just wasn't cutting it at this point. Like, knees weak, arms heady, palms sweaty.
I'm still getting swarmed by gnats.
And now I'm getting swarmed by gnats. So that's another thing I want to talk about really quick is during the first round, yes, it was really hot, but, you know, I had, you know, plenty of sunscreen on, and I was hydrated. It was no big deal. And I wasn't really feeling it. At this point, after playing a full round, even after, like, a little lunch break, I'm cooked, man. I am just drenched in sweat nonstop. I am, you know, slippery hands. Can't seem to even let chalk bags get, like, the grip I want on the disc. It's just not going well. And the other big thing is I don't know what was going on with me at this place. At the first course, I didn't experience this at all. And when I've played this course in the past, I've never had this issue. But I was literally, y'all, getting swarmed by gnats anytime I was standing still for longer than, like, 2 or 3 seconds. So basically, as I'm standing behind the tee before a tee shot, or as I'm waiting for my fellow competitors to throw their shots, or when I'm on the putting green lining up my putt, there's just gnats in my face, man. Just in my eyes, you know, trying to get in my mouth. Like, they are just all over me, y'all. And I put on bug spray before the round, and I even borrowed a fellow competitor's bug spray. I say borrowed. It's not like I took the spray off my body and gave it back to him. I borrowed his can of spray and used some of it and gave it. You get what I'm saying. I don't know why I had to be so particular about that, but whatever. So I used his spray, and they were just like, they just didn't care. And it was funny because they weren't really phasing anyone else too much. But I remember Tracy, my fiance, who's filming, was like, yeah, there's just a cloud of gnats around your head, like when I'm standing over here. And even some of my fellow cardmates were like, dude, you are getting assaulted. Like, do you have, like, some kind of fruity shampoo or something like that maybe they like? I don't know. But it was getting tough. It was getting real tough. It was making particularly putting more difficult because there's already the putting pressure that's difficult. You know, being in a tournament, it's different than putting in your backyard or in a casual round, obviously. But then to be dealing with that aspect of putting difficulty, you know, also the grip issues with your hands being sweaty, and then to get swarmed by bugs the entire time, I was kind of over it at this point, but I still wanted to persevere and try to finish as strong as I could. So next hole is kind of an iffy, pokey hope kind of hole, honestly. Somehow got through. Was able to get up to the green. Actually had a pretty reasonable circle one putt here for birdie on this hole, which is nice. But just a touch low. And now we're at hole 18, the island hole. And I want to take a pause to tell a quick story. And that is that the last tournament, I played that I won was the first time I ever made the island in a tournament after missing it like 2 or 3 other tournaments that I played in. So I know this hole quite well. I've had many, many struggles with this hole. So after the lunch break, because I hadn't played a practice round here before the tournament, after the lunch break, we had like 30 minutes before I had to get to my first hole. I came out to this hole, hole 18 here before you, and I took 5 discs with me, 5 different discs. I took my Glow Envy, I took a Zone, a Justice, a Pyro, and a Suspect. So 5 different discs I had in my bag, all kind of like, well, the Pyro's an overstable mid, but all the rest are kind of like stable to slightly overstable, like putt and approach disc. And y'all, I swear to you, I stuck the island with all 5 discs. Not only did I stick the island with all 5 discs, I was also within 10 to 15 feet on every single one. They were like all pretty easy circle 1 putts for birdie. And I threw them all different ways because the Envy I had to kind of throw just flat and straight right at the basket for the most part. The Justice had to throw like a crazy flex line because it's super overstable. Same with the Pyro. The Zone I could just throw flat, but outside right, kind of over aiming towards the street and just have it hyzer in. I was feeling it, man. I was like, all right, I got this. Let's roll the footage of 18 during the tournament. I decided to go with the Zone.
No, get down.
So I was 5 for 6 on making the island that day, but only one of them was a tournament shot, and that was the one I missed. So I chip up there, take a bogey. Well, I'm about to take a bogey. Sorry for the spoilers. I do make this putt. Yay. Not salty at all, everyone. Not salty. Totally happy. Now we move on to hole 1. Again, I wasn't really feeling the forehand, but it's really the only play for me on this hole. And I actually threw a pretty decent one. It's not bad. You know what is bad? Just plowing into a mound of dirt and getting 0 skip towards the pin. So once again, the trend of not really giving myself reasonable birdie putts kind of continued on here. And I just kind of chipped it up there and got my par. So now I'm 1 over par for the round because I took a bogey on 18 because I missed the island. I've been parring every other hole so far, I think. Can't remember. I know I had another birdie earlier, so I don't know where I'm at. I might be like at even or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think I am at even. And that's when it was just like I was getting worn out. And so I'd put no air or power on that disc, and so I got nowhere near the basket. I mean, that was the right line and the right disc and the right accuracy, just no power, no height. I'm really starting to feel it with the heat and everything. That's all I can tell you. So I went up par on that hole. Very next hole, after the Zone kind of burned me on 18, I decided to do the Envy, and what do you know? It carries too straight, fades too late, and I get caught up on a bunch of trees on the right-hand side of the fairway. And now I'm left again with another one of these putts that is just not reasonable, and I didn't even bother. Laid up, took a par. Now we're on hole 4. About 360. Straight headwind, of course, just like round 1. Had a decent shape, but the headwind was just not letting it push forward. That, and I just didn't get a lot of explosiveness on the disc. Again, I was just mega tired. Oh, is it? Is it? Did you hear what I just said there? Let me raise the volume up for you real quick, because after throwing a mediocre tee shot, I threw what was a pretty good approach shot. And what was it that I said? Let's roll back that footage.
That's the kind of putt I like to have in this win.
That's the kind of putt you like to have in this win, is it? Is it? Wrecked. Wrecked. Absolutely bodied. I am sad to say I went through this entire tournament up until that point not missing a tap-in. Yes, I missed some putts, but most of them were deep circle 1. I had like 1 easy birdie putt I missed in the first round, the first hole I played. But most of the putts I missed on this day were at least like 20 to 25 footers. And well, all I can say is I was unable to go the entire tournament without missing a tap-in. I missed one right there. So I took a bogey. So now I'm back to 1 over par, I believe. So now we're at a par 4 here. And I'm like, you know what? Let's give it all I got. And I did put a move on this one. Some good snap, good distance. It was like a right to left wind, so I played an understable disc and just had it flip, but then, you know, get back course corrected thanks to the wind. Throw a good upshot. And leave myself a reasonable birdie putt. Not many of those this day. And I cashed it. Sorry, for my morale, we're going to watch this drive one more time. Because this is the drive I'm probably the most proud of from the whole tournament as far as actually getting some good form and pop on it. Sounded good. Felt good. Flew good. Probably one of my furthest drives on this hole. It'd be like 370, 375 on that one. Big fan. All right, so let's snap back to reality. We are now on hole 6. Kind of just a straight 275 shot. Through my FD. Turned off the first tree, but did not have enough to turn off the next set of trees. So I wound up taking a par on that hole.
Oh, let's go.
Just talking to a buddy of mine who just made a huge putt on the hole next to us. Now there's some kids and their mom shouting at each other. A little distracted. This is also kind of a poke and hope hole to me. There's not really a well-defined massive gap. It's a lot of small gaps. And I got almost through one. Got a decent bounce. But, again, still just not really in that comfortable circle 1 range for birdie. Missed it high. Can we tap in the par? No.
What?
Yep, I'm asking questions to the basket. It has no answers. And you know what? In hindsight, this was all me. I was looking back, like in the heat of the moment, I felt like I hit it dead center. But now that I'm looking at it again, it is center. It may not look center because of the camera angle, but it is center, but it is real high. Like, I'm, like, basically touching one of the nubs that the chain's hooked to. So, it was a high putt. I missed the putt. It wasn't a... It did not merit the reaction that I gave. But in the heat of the moment, I'm just thinking, I hit dead center and spit out. But in reality, this was high. It's your fault, Dustin. You did it. All right, moving on. Hole 8. I think now I'm 2 over par. Or 1 over par, somewhere around there. I don't know. Through the perfect flex forehand that I wanted. Exactly how I drew it up. Super happy about that. And in things with a no chain birdie. And so to kind of wrap things up, I wound up shooting 1 over par this round. So I shot 1 over par overall for the tournament, and I wound up placing really poorly. So again, I didn't really come in with any crazy expectations, so I'm not super upset with the result. I actually thought I threw pretty decent overall. You know, the first round, I only really had 2 really, truly terrible tee shots that cost me the 2 bogeys that round, actually. I would have shot 2 under par that round had it not been for those 2 tee shots that blew me up and cost bogeys. So really only had, like, again, the 2 terrible tee shots in round 1. A couple of shots that were also kind of mediocre, to be fair. I didn't have a whole lot of excellent shots, but I didn't have any real major blowups other than, you know, 2 of them. And then on this round, again, like, besides missing the island on 18 and just being, like, slightly off on a few other shots, that was the thing. It wasn't like I had big misses. I was just a little bit off, and that being a little bit off just made it to where I had long circle 2 putts for birdie instead of circle 1 putts for birdie. And so that's why I was taking a lot of pars. Again, like 18 was the real big one this round where I missed the island that was like a big blow up. And then I had a couple of ones that got hung up early. And then I had a missed tap-in putt that cost me a stroke that should have been a par, and it became a bogey instead on that first hole I played out in the Open. So some mistakes here and there, but all in all, considering the heat, the bug swarm in my face, the cleanse thing I'm going through, and, just everything combined, just not really having the practice rounds on these courses before the tournament to like feel super comfortable with all my throws. It was okay. I'm not too upset about it. I had a good time. I also mental game wise did really well, which is like another big thing. The first round I didn't get upset or rage really at all. I would go like or smack my lips or have like a little sign of frustration, but nothing like yelling or screaming or cursing or anything along those lines. And then it wasn't really until I missed the island on 18 this second round that I actually like finally had like a small like I wouldn't call it outburst, but I was finally just like, dang it. Kind of like just finally like a little bit of yelling out loud, so to speak. And then there was a couple other moments after that point throughout the rest of the round where, obviously you saw the one where I missed the putt high and I was like, what? So for the most part, though, even when I had like these little outbursts of frustration, they were very short lived and I was immediately focused on the next hole and didn't let it impact my play on the next hole. In fact, if you look at like the scorecard for my first round, I had bounce back birdies after each bogey, if I'm not mistaken. I think this round too, after I bogeyed the hole because I missed a tap in, I birdied the next hole. So I was bouncing back pretty nice. So that was cool. Definitely my mental game's going in the right direction. I felt a lot more mellow, a lot less nerves. And I think it's going to serve me well this tournament, experience going forward. But I'm just not sure when the next tournament's going to be, just because my work schedule is getting kind of hefty. Speaking of which, I'll even give you a couple like little sneak peek announcements on this one. First off, I think I am back up to 1,000 subscribers. At least I was when I was uploading this video. I don't know if it'll say that way or not, but thank you for 1,000. That's the case. Again, maybe once I hit like a safe number over 1,000, I'll do like a special video for 1,000 subscribers. But anyway, I really do appreciate all of it. I hope that you'll follow, subscribe, if you're not already, and help with all the content, stuff like that. Also, I know for a fact that I will be once again hosting the Tournament Central show on the Disc Golf Network for the World Championships. So that is my next disc golf gig that I'll be doing for the Disc Golf Network. I'm super excited about that. There may be some potential that I'll be hosting Tournament Central for some other tournaments after Worlds as well. I know I got asked about potentially doing the MVP Open, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. So we shall see. So for those of you who didn't know, obviously I did do the show for the Preserve. I actually did a video about doing it on the channel if you haven't checked it out already, like kind of like a behind-the-scenes type vlog discussing working on that show. And so hopefully there's more to come. But other than that, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you folks enjoyed it. Again, if you did, please follow, subscribe, comment, like, share, do all the things, help the channel grow. We've come a long way. Again, if we do wind up sticking at 1,000, that's a great accomplishment. And super happy about it. And just going to looking to keep pushing forward, keep doing content on this channel, keep trying to do work on the Disc Golf Pro Tour and just in the disc golf space in general alongside my esports stuff. And yeah, just keep enjoying it. So thanks so much. See you next time.